The Strange Case of Henry Frantz Jr. The story of Henry Frantz Jr., a beloved figure in the Atlanta area, took a heartbreaking and deeply mysterious turn in March 2024. Frantz, aged 74, known widely for his talent with the bagpipes and as a founding member of the Atlanta Pipe Band, passed away during a scuba diving excursion in Hawaii. The news of his sudden passing shocked many in his community, especially those who had admired his music and spirit for decades. But what followed in the days after his departure would leave his family stunned and raise even more questions. On March 16th, just 6 days after his passing, family members arrived at Frantz's home in Decatur, Georgia, to begin organizing his belongings and handling his personal affairs. The property, located about 15 miles outside of Atlanta, had long been a private and quiet place. As the family sorted through the items left behind, they ventured into the backyard, where Frantz had built a wooden treehouse years earlier. What they found inside was both shocking and heartbreaking. The skeletal remains of Frantz's son, Henry Doyle Frantz, who had been missing for over 4 years. Henry Doyle was 28 years old when he was last seen, and for years his absence had been a source of confusion and quiet sorrow for the family. The discovery of his remains inside the treehouse, located on his father's own property, added a new and deeply emotional layer to an already difficult time. The DeKalb County Medical Examiner's Office began an immediate investigation into the circumstances surrounding the discovery, and while no foul play is currently suspected, the mystery of how Henry Doyle came to be in the treehouse remains. Frantz Jr., described by his daughter as a deeply curious and active man, had lived alone since 2018, following the passing of his second wife. Though loved by many, his family said visits had become rare in recent years, with most relatives living out of state. The solitude of the home may have contributed to the delay in discovering the younger Frantz's whereabouts, a reality that has left the family with more questions than answers. In the wake of both losses, the Atlanta community came together to honor Frantz Jr.'s legacy. As a performer, he had shared his music at countless events, from weddings and funerals to cultural celebrations and historic commemorations. The Atlanta Pipe Band, which he helped found and sustain for more than 5 decades, paid tribute to his passion and dedication, describing his influence as immeasurable. Frantz had performed for figures such as Presidents Carter and Bush, Prince Charles, and the Dalai Lama. Friends and fellow musicians like Leonard E. Wood remembered him not just for his musical talent, but for his adventurous spirit and commitment to discovery. Frantz was an attorney by profession, but it was his love of exploration, through music, travel, fossils, and scuba diving, that defined him in the hearts of many. Though his passing and the discovery of his son have left lingering sorrow, the memory of Henry Frantz Jr. continues to echo in the sound of bagpipes across Atlanta and beyond. A life remembered for its vibrancy, complexity, and the quiet mysteries it left behind. What happened to Sucher Balaji? The mysterious case surrounding the final days of Sucher Balaji continues to raise questions, as his family remains convinced that the circumstances surrounding his passing do not align with the official narrative. A promising tech professional and whistleblower, Balaji had recently made headlines for speaking out against the practices behind the development of advanced AI models, including ChatGPT. Just hours before his untimely end, he appeared calm, collected, and even cheerful, as seen in surveillance footage captured on the evening of November 22, 2023. At 7:30 in the evening, Balaji was seen exiting the elevator in his San Francisco apartment building, walking with ease toward the entrance to collect a takeout order. He returned moments later, food in hand, dressed casually in jeans, trainers, and a sweater, with music playing through wireless earbuds. This moment, his last known appearance, was uneventful at first glance. However, for his family, it signaled that everything seemed normal in his life at the time. His demeanor, body language, and the casual nature of the interaction all indicated someone simply settling down for a quiet evening. That same day, he had been in contact with his father, sharing stories about a recent birthday trip to Catalina Island. The two had discussed upcoming plans and reminisced about his holiday, with no apparent distress or indication that anything was amiss. Earlier footage from that afternoon showed him arriving home from the trip, carrying his luggage and walking through the same lobby. In both videos, his mother, Purnima Ramarao, points out he appeared relaxed and entirely at ease. Balaji's family grew concerned when they hadn't heard from him in several days, prompting a welfare check on November 26th. Authorities discovered him in his apartment, having passed away under circumstances officially described as self-inflicted. Yet the conclusion drawn by the medical examiner and local police has not sat well with his loved ones. The presence of certain substances in his system, including alcohol and GHP, added complexity to the official findings. Still, his family maintains that these details don't align with the character and mental state of the person they knew. Adding to the family's unease are gaps in the building's security system. According to Ramarao, key surveillance cameras in the garage, elevators and neighboring areas were not functioning at the time. The building's access records indicated that no one else entered Balaji's fourth-floor apartment during the critical time frame. The apartment windows, situated stories above street level, were fitted with restrictors, making them inaccessible as points of entry or exit. The front door, according to investigators, showed no signs of tampering. While the autopsy report provided by the Chief Medical Examiner's office reaffirmed that no evidence pointed toward outside involvement, Balaji's parents continue to believe that the circumstances were more complicated. His mother, in particular, has spoken out passionately, suggesting that her son may have been targeted because of the sensitive information he had shared about emerging artificial intelligence technologies. A month prior, Balaji had publicly raised concerns about the methods used in AI model training and the broader implications for internet safety and digital ethics. To those closest to him, Sucher Balaji was not only a brilliant mind in the tech world, but also someone full of life, optimism, and plans for the future. His sudden and unexplained departure has left an emotional and intellectual void that cannot be filled by reports or official statements alone. The questions surrounding the final moments of his life continue to linger, and for his family, the search for truth is far from over. As investigations are closed and files archived, they hold on to hope that one day, more clarity will emerge about what really happened to their son in those final hours. The mystery of Emily Wolfe. The disappearance of 34-year-old Emily Wolfe in rural Utah has grown more concerning as authorities now confirm that her cell phone has become inactive, signaling a troubling development in the ongoing investigation. Wolfe was last seen on March 31st in northern San Juan County, a sparsely populated region in southeastern Utah. According to the San Juan County Sheriff's Office, Wolfe may have been traveling toward the highland area of Utah in a 2020 Gray Defender side-by-side vehicle. Law enforcement officials shared on social media that Wolfe had recently mentioned two possible destinations, a job opportunity in Alaska and a desire to visit North Carolina. Her comments have complicated the search as authorities attempt to determine her intended route and final destination. The sudden loss of phone contact, announced 2 weeks after her disappearance, has significantly hindered tracking efforts. Her cell phone being turned off or no longer operational eliminates a vital lead in locating her and raises fears about her safety. Wolfe is described as standing 5 feet 4 inches tall and weighing approximately 120 pounds. She has brown eyes and brown hair highlighted with blonde streaks. Notably, she has several distinguishing tattoos, including script designs on her right forearm and left wrist, and a map of Vietnam tattooed on one of her ankles. These identifiers have been shared widely in the hopes that someone may recognize her or provide useful information to authorities. The strange case of Elizabeth O'Prey. Elizabeth O'Prey's disappearance in the rugged wilderness of Australia's Blue Mountains remains one of the region's most perplexing and tragic mysteries. The 77-year-old woman, known for her independent spirit and gentle demeanor, was reported missing on a Monday night after her concerned family members realized she had not returned home. Elizabeth, often called Betty by those who knew her, lived in Medlow Bath, a small village perched near the highest point of the Blue Mountains, west of Sydney. What began as a routine search quickly evolved into a large-scale rescue operation, as authorities, volunteers and residents mobilized in the hopes of bringing her home safely. Days into the search, there was a moment of hope. A resident in the Megalong Valley reported hearing cries for help around 6:45 in the evening on Friday. When police began searching the nearby 6-foot track, a popular hiking trail, They too heard the desperate calls echoing through the valley. This spurred renewed energy into the search, which then focused on the area around Peckman's Plateau and the Faribular Lookout, south of Katoomba. Inspector Sonia Tabor, leading the operation, described the terrain as treacherous, with dense bushland and steep cliffs making it extremely challenging to navigate. She explained that voices can carry unusually far in such environments, complicating the task of pinpointing the source of the cries. Despite the deployment of over 90 volunteers, police personnel, aerial searches via the Polair helicopter, and ground support from trail bikes, locating Elizabeth proved nearly impossible in such an unforgiving landscape. Adding to the urgency was the fact that Elizabeth was known to take stroke medication, which in some individuals can cause confusion. The concern was that she might be disoriented and unable to retrace her steps or provide an accurate location. On Tuesday evening, roughly 24 hours after she was first reported missing, rescuers managed to contact her via her mobile phone. She was reportedly calm and said she was all right, but admitted she was lost and unable to describe her location. That brief communication became the last confirmed contact with her. The search effort was temporarily halted on Friday evening due to worsening weather conditions, but resumed the following day. Local residents, moved by the situation, rallied together to support the operation. Sylvia Swords, a member of the community, told news outlets that although the disappearance was heartbreaking, everyone understood how difficult the terrain made the search. At the height of the operation, hundreds of volunteers gave their time and energy, determined to bring Elizabeth back to her family. Despite these efforts, Elizabeth O'Prey was never found. At an inquest held in February in Katoomba, the coroner reviewed the circumstances surrounding her disappearance. The court heard how police had made contact with her by phone, but she had been unable to provide details about her location. She was last believed to be wearing an olive-coloured jacket, jeans, and black shoes. Described as thin, with short grey hair, and of Caucasian appearance, Elizabeth was a familiar face in her neighbourhood. Her case left a deep mark on the community. Inspector Tabor publicly acknowledged the overwhelming support of the volunteers and highlighted the selflessness that had defined the search. The dedication shown during those crucial days following Elizabeth's disappearance is remembered by those who participated, even though their efforts did not bring the outcome they had hoped for. Today, the story of Elizabeth O'Prey remains an unresolved chapter in the history of the Blue Mountains. With no conclusive evidence to explain what happened to her, her fate remains a mystery. Her family continues to seek answers, and the memory of a resilient woman lost in the wilderness still echoes among the trees where voices once called out, hoping she might be found. The mystery of Brenda K. Green. Brenda departed from her family's residence in Brookwood, Alabama on July 2, 1988, and never returned. Her disappearance has remained one of Alabama's enduring mysteries, leaving behind decades of unanswered questions and heartbreak for those who loved her. That day, Brenda had told her mother she was planning to visit friends in Abernant, a small community roughly 10 miles northeast of her home. Accompanied by a male friend, she set off with every intention of returning later that evening. What unfolded instead has haunted her family and community for over 3 decades. Brenda was last confirmed to be at a house located directly across the street from Hosmer's Grocery on Highway 216 in Abernant. Her male friend had dropped her off at this location, expecting she would be meeting with other friends. However, those friends were not at the house, and rather than wait with her, her companion left her standing alone on the doorstep. The only further contact Brenda had was a phone call to her mother at around 9:30 in the evening, during which she explained she wouldn't be home until later. That call was the last known trace of her. After that moment, Brenda seemed to vanish into thin air. Initially, authorities believed Brenda had simply run away. She had a history of leaving home, but in each prior instance, she had returned relatively quickly. Her family too may have hoped this was just another brief absence, but as time passed and no signs of her emerged, that hope began to fade. Investigators gradually began to suspect that her disappearance was not voluntary. Despite their shifting views, no significant leads or evidence have emerged to provide clarity. The house where Brenda was last seen became a focal point early in the investigation, but no definitive answers were found there. The male friend who drove her to the location has not been publicly implicated, and no official suspects have been named. The rural nature of the area, combined with the delay in classifying her disappearance as suspicious, may have hindered early investigative efforts. As the years have passed, details have remained scarce, and her case has grown cold. Brenda's disappearance devastated her family, who have waited in silence for a resolution that has never come. Over the years, they have continued to hope that someone, somewhere, might remember something significant from that summer night in 1988. The mystery of what happened after she made that final phone call has led to numerous theories, but none that have yielded results. Today, Brenda remains listed as a missing person, and her case is unsolved. Though time has passed, Brenda's name is still remembered by those committed to finding answers. Her case is a stark reminder that even in quiet, close-knit communities, unsettling disappearances can occur, leaving families searching for the truth for a lifetime. Carl Disch, a renowned physicist recognized for his significant contributions to the realm of particle physics, hailed from a quaint German town where his fascination with science, especially physics, bloomed at an early age. His academic journey commenced with the pursuit of physics studies at a university in Germany, and later took him across the Atlantic to the United States, culminating in the award of a PhD in particle physics. Despite his illustrious career, the scientific world was thrown into disarray by Carl Disch's inexplicable disappearance at Byrd Station in Antarctica. This enigmatic event has perplexed the scientific community to its core, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions and sparking numerous theories and speculations. The mystery surrounding Carl Disch's fate continues to captivate the minds of researchers and enthusiasts alike. Throughout his professional journey, Disch played a pivotal role in advancing the realm of particle physics by making substantial and noteworthy contributions. His focused area of research revolved around the intricate examination of the characteristics of subatomic particles, showcasing a profound expertise in this specialized domain. Distinguished for his profound insights, Disch authored numerous scholarly articles in esteemed scientific publications, underlining his status as a distinguished authority in the field. Moreover, his reputation transcended borders, as evidenced by the frequent invitations extended to him to deliver keynote addresses at prestigious symposiums and esteemed educational institutions across the globe. Disch's impact extended beyond his research endeavors. His role as an educator and mentor was equally notable. Renowned for his adept teaching abilities, he garnered admiration as a professor appreciated for his accessibility and profound knowledge. His commitment to nurturing budding physicists showcased his dedication to shaping the future of the field, earning him immense respect among his students. Apart from contributing significantly to the academic realm through his research, Disch's legacy includes a profound influence on aspiring physicists, exemplifying a profound dedication to both knowledge dissemination and mentorship. Byrd Station served as a secluded research outpost, situated in one of the most extreme climates worldwide. This remote facility, known for its unforgiving environment, was where Disch embarked on his research journey with great enthusiasm. Despite the harsh conditions that surrounded him, Disch's determination and passion for his work remained unwavering as he delved into the complexities of his research. Upon his arrival at Byrd Station, a series of events unfolded that eventually led to his mysterious disappearance. Disch, a researcher hailed for his expertise and competence, started displaying unusual behavior marked by erratic and unpredictable actions. His concerned peers at the time attempted to establish contact with him in a bid to assist, only to be met with silence on his end. The transformation of Disch, from a reliable professional to a troubled individual at Byrd Station, stirred deep apprehension among those who worked alongside him, prompting them to seek ways to support him despite his reluctance to engage. Over the ensuing days, Disch's conduct took a bizarre turn, escalating in peculiarity. His presence at the station was marked by aimless strolls, accompanied by incoherent muttering and erratic actions that raised concerns among his co-workers. Despite multiple attempts by his peers to address the situation, Disch remained obstinate, disregarding logical appeals and persisting in his unpredictable demeanor. After a series of unfolding events, the pivotal moments preceding Disch's vanishing occurred on a particular day when he was observed departing from the station and venturing into the unforgiving Antarctic terrain. Despite the earnest attempts of his companions to prevent him, Disch ventured into the wild and has remained beyond contact or sighting ever since. The circumstances surrounding his disappearance paint a mysterious picture, leaving many unanswered questions about what transpired in the vast and icy expanses of the Antarctic. In 1965, Disch and his fellow scientists, including other researchers, set foot at Byrd Station, situated approximately 600 miles away from the South Pole, initiating a substantial and long-lasting scientific expedition. Over the following half-year period, Disch predominantly dedicated his time to operations within a radio booth positioned a significant distance of 1 mile from the primary station building. To facilitate navigation amid the challenging and unpredictable Antarctic climate conditions, a sturdy rope was strategically extended between these establishments, serving as a lifeline to ensure safe traversal in adverse weather scenarios. Carl Disch demonstrated great familiarity with the terrain as he navigated skillfully between buildings, adeptly using a rope for assistance. However, on the morning of May 8th, a peculiar turn of events occurred. He departed from the radio booth with the intention of reaching the station building, but mysteriously vanished, never to be seen again. This unexpected disappearance raised questions and sparked inquiries into the circumstances surrounding his final moments. After a thorough investigation, it came to light that Disch departed the radio booth precisely at 9 in the morning, a time when darkness still enveloped the surroundings. The weather conditions were harsh, with a relentless strong wind gusting through the Antarctic landscape, accompanied by a bone-chilling temperature plummeting to -44 degrees Fahrenheit. Despite the extreme cold, Disch donned specialized attire made for Antarctic exploration, ensuring he was adequately protected from the severe elements. Considering his attire and the familiarity of the route between the dwellings, the journey between the houses was estimated to be under 30 minutes. When Disch failed to arrive at the station by the designated time of 10 in the morning, his co-workers grew increasingly concerned. In response, they swiftly organized a search party to comb through the vicinity around the rope connecting the two structures. As the clock ticked towards 11:30 in the morning, their diligent efforts paid off when they stumbled upon a discernible path of human footprints originating from the radio box, hinting at a possible direction where Disch might have ventured. The traces commenced their journey from the base of a ladder connected to the cabin. However, rather than veering towards the south following the rope, which would be the conventional path one would anticipate, they took a westerly direction leading them to the ski trail meticulously planned by the scientific community. After meticulously tracing the tracks left behind by Disch, his companions diligently pursued the footprints for approximately 4 miles, only to be confounded when the trail abruptly vanished. The puzzling aspect of this scenario became glaringly apparent as the team scanned their surroundings, revealing no trace of a lifeless form believed to have been concealed by the snow, nor any indication pointing towards a potential attack on Disch that would have culminated in the removal of his body. Upon further observation, it appeared peculiar that, considering the circumstances of being lost in a blizzard, Disch's footprints did not exhibit the typical pattern of a person wavering back and forth in search of the correct route to the station. Instead, the tracks indicated a deliberate and intentional movement in a specific direction. This intriguing detail raised questions about the purpose behind Disch's confident stride amidst such challenging conditions. The clear direction in which he appeared to be heading suggested a determined resolve rather than uncertainty or confusion. Upon analysis, it was indicated that during the specific instance of movement, Carl did not perceive himself as being disoriented or bewildered. Due to the depletion of their fuel reserves, the team faced obstacles in examining the location where the signs of Disch's presence had been absent for an extended period, prompting their return to the station. They made the unanimous decision to replenish the fuel for their means of transportation before resuming their investigation of the vanished tracks. Following the refueling process, the team re-engaged in a meticulous and exhaustive 3-hour exploration of the vicinity, yet the outcome remained disappointing as no significant discoveries were made during this extended search period. Upon their return to the base at 6 in the evening, the team found themselves without any discoveries to report. The escalating winds had forced them to halt their inspection, rendering it impossible to proceed. Despite this setback, they clung to a glimmer of hope, fueled by the possibility that Disch, albeit chilled and lost, might still be alive, eagerly anticipating their rescue mission. The harsh weather conditions had thwarted their efforts, but the team's determination remained unwavering, as they refused to abandon the notion that their companion could be awaiting their arrival, in dire need of assistance. Upon arriving at the station, they commenced a thorough exploration of the surroundings, meticulously examining both the station premises and the radio booth. Subsequently, they rallied together to establish a human chain, systematically combing through the path connecting the base to the ski trail. This path was in close proximity to the point where the individual's tracks vanished, prompting a concerted effort to unravel the mystery. Despite facing challenging weather conditions, the team actively engaged in illuminating searchlights and launching flares at regular intervals of 30 minutes. They persisted in these efforts until the visibility deteriorated significantly, rendering these actions futile. During the subsequent day, the initiation of the third search mission took place, focusing on examining the vicinity spanning from the base to the ski run, following the chain of tracks. Regrettably, at that point, the tracks had predominantly deteriorated due to powerful winds. Occasionally, they encountered undamaged tracks along the way. However, after covering a distance of 4 miles, these tracks eventually vanished. The team diligently scoured the area, meticulously tracing the remnants of tracks despite the challenging conditions posed by the weather. On the fateful morning of May 10, 1965, which marked 2 days after Carl's mysterious vanishing, a renewed and extensive search operation was set into motion. The exploration initially commenced at the central station complex and subsequently extended towards the southern direction, conducting thorough searches in both the eastern and western regions, clearly marking the areas that were investigated. However, despite an exhaustive examination spanning 12 miles beyond the station boundaries, no discoveries were made. The meticulous search operation covered a significant radius outside the station compound, encompassing detailed sweeps of the surrounding areas in all cardinal directions. During the operations conducted on May 12th, thorough searches were conducted within the Baird Station's northeastern and southwestern areas. Despite the favorable weather conditions at that time, the darkness posed a significant challenge to the search efforts as visibility was greatly hindered. Subsequently, over the following 2 days, the combination of intense winds and dense fog severely limited visibility to the point where conducting further searches became unfeasible. This climatic deterioration hampered the search team's ability to continue their operations effectively, highlighting the intricate challenges they faced in their mission due to environmental factors. On May 14th, an extensive search covering an area of 35 square miles was conducted in an attempt to locate Carl, but unfortunately, no signs of him were discovered. Despite thorough efforts, neither Carl nor any clues leading to his whereabouts were unearthed. Subsequently, the search operation was called off. The inquiries that were raised in the past remain relevant even today. The perplexing circumstances surrounding Carl's deviation from his typical path along the rope continue to puzzle many. The mystery deepens with the question of how he managed to vanish without a single trace. It is intriguing that had he merely been lost and succumbed to the cold, his remains would likely have been discovered during the extensive search efforts. The abrupt cessation of his tracks, almost as if he evaporated into nothingness, adds an additional layer of complexity to this enigma. These unanswered questions linger, provoking curiosity and speculation about the bizarre sequence of events that led to Carl's mysterious disappearance. In the investigation of predator attacks in Antarctica, polar bears were swiftly dismissed as suspects since they are not native to the region, eliminating any potential involvement of four-legged predators altogether. The primary threat to coastal penguins comes from a limited group of predators, namely skuas, killer whales, and sea lions. In Antarctica, the vanishing of Carl Disch at Bird Station raised significant alarm within the scientific realm, prompting immediate and extensive search operations to locate him. The challenging terrain and extreme conditions of Antarctica posed obstacles to the search efforts, necessitating the formation of a specialized team of professionals to lead the investigative process. The disappearance of Disch not only spurred concerns about his well-being, but also underscored the complexities involved in conducting search and rescue missions in such a remote and unforgiving environment. The collaborative efforts of the assembled experts highlighted the meticulous approach taken to unravel the mystery behind Disch's disappearance. During the initial stage of the search operation, significant attention was directed towards the immediate vicinity of Bird Station. Dedicated search and rescue teams, in collaboration with volunteers from the scientific sector, meticulously combed through the area. This meticulous search encompassed a thorough exploration of the nearby wilderness on foot and an extensive aerial reconnaissance using helicopters. Regrettably, despite the exhaustive efforts exerted by the search teams, there was no trace or indication of Disch's whereabouts in this large-scale search operation. In the course of the ongoing search efforts, the focus gradually transitioned towards a more thorough and detailed examination of the series of events preceding Disch's vanishing. This thorough investigation encompassed conducting interviews with his associates and meticulously scrutinizing any accessible video or audio documentation from the station. Additionally, the inquiry delved into Disch's personal history and background in an endeavor to ascertain whether any pertinent details could provide clues regarding his mysterious disappearance. This meticulous scrutiny extended to exploring Disch's past and personal relationships to discern any potential leads that might illuminate the circumstances surrounding his sudden absence. Disch, a renowned physicist known for his dedication to research, mysteriously vanished, causing profound grief and sorrow within his circle of acquaintances. His unexplained absence not only led to unanswered questions, but also created a void in the scientific community due to his invaluable contributions. The mysterious vanishing of Disch within the scientific realm has triggered inquiries into the risks associated with conducting studies in extreme settings like Antarctica. Furthermore, it has initiated dialogues regarding the necessity of robust mental health resources for researchers stationed in these isolated regions. This incident has also reignited attention towards enhancing safety measures and protocols for individuals engaged in research activities within remote and arduous environments. Delving deeper into the implications of Disch's disappearance, the scientific community is now actively scrutinizing the challenges and demands faced by researchers working in such secluded and demanding conditions, emphasizing the critical need for comprehensive support systems and stringent safety guidelines to safeguard the well-being and security of researchers in the pursuit of scientific exploration. In the eyes of Disch's close friends and family, his sudden vanishing has struck them with immense sorrow and despair. Despite extensive search and rescue operations, there has been no trace of his whereabouts, leaving his dear ones clinging to the hope that someday he might reappear. This mysterious event has triggered contemplation on the toll that working in isolated settings can take on a person's psychological and emotional stability. The Paris Catacombs, a vast subterranean labyrinth beneath the streets of Paris, have long captured the imagination of adventurers, historians, and thrill-seekers alike. Originally built as quarries to mine limestone during the Roman era, the catacombs were later repurposed as a mass burial site in the 18th century, housing the remains of more than 6 million Parisians. In the 1990s, chilling found footage emerged, capturing the harrowing journey of a man who got lost within the catacombs and was never seen again. The Paris catacombs encompass more than 200 miles of underground tunnels, chambers and galleries, making it one of the largest ossuaries in the world. Over the centuries, the catacombs have served various purposes, from a clandestine meeting place for revolutionaries during the French Revolution to a hideout for members of the French resistance during World War II. Despite the fascinating history of the catacombs, their vast and labyrinth nature presents a significant danger to those who venture off the designated paths. The maze of tunnels can be disorienting, and inexperienced explorers run the risk of becoming lost or trapped within the catacombs. In the early 1990s, a group of Parisian catacomb explorers, known as cataphiles, stumbled upon a discarded video camera deep within the tunnels. The camera contained a chilling piece of found footage, which captured the journey of an unidentified man as he ventured deeper into the catacombs, eventually becoming disoriented and lost. The footage shows the man's mounting panic and desperation as he navigates the seemingly endless maze of tunnels, before ultimately abandoning his camera and disappearing into the darkness. The found footage was later aired in a 2000 documentary titled The Forbidden Paris Catacombs, sparking widespread interest and speculation about the identity and fate of the lost explorer. The authenticity of the found footage has been a subject of debate among skeptics and enthusiasts alike. While some believe the footage to be a genuine documentation of the man's harrowing experience, others have argued that it could be an elaborate hoax staged to create a sensational story. Nevertheless, the footage has prompted numerous investigations and search efforts to uncover the identity of the lost explorer and determine his ultimate fate. Despite these efforts, the man's identity remains unknown, and no trace of him has been found within the catacombs. Several theories have been proposed to explain the man's disappearance, ranging from the possibility that he succumbed to hypothermia or dehydration in the tunnels, to the more sinister notion that he was intentionally led astray by malicious individuals or supernatural forces. Nonetheless, the existence of the footage can be supported by an argument, given that no one has come forward to claim the ownership of it ever since it was initially broadcasted almost 2 decades ago. Even those involved in the documentary haven't made much noise around it, leading many to believe that it's unlikely that they're benefiting from it financially. Assuming the authenticity of the found footage, the main concern is to uncover the fate of the individual. Investigating this specific topic has posed difficulties in terms of reliable sources, given the scarcity of information available. Although various sources have linked paranormal activity to the video, researchers who live close to the area believe that a more plausible explanation can be derived. The catacombs consist of tunnels that extend for 150 to 200 miles, making it easy to become disoriented and lost. As evident from past rescues of stranded teenagers, it's not uncommon for people to lose their way amidst the catacombs. With temperatures averaging at 60 degrees Fahrenheit, it's possible that the man in the video lost his bearings and eventually succumbed to hypothermia. The enigma of the found footage of the lost Paris catacombs explorer continues to captivate and mystify those who delve into the dark history of this subterranean ossuary. The chilling footage serves as a stark reminder of the dangers inherent in venturing into the catacombs, as well as a testament to the enduring allure of the unknown. The fate of the lost explorer remains a mystery, shrouded in the shadows of the Parisian underworld and the murky depths of human imagination. The chilling atmosphere and macabre history of this subterranean world have given rise to countless legends, ghost stories, and tales of supernatural encounters. The Paris catacombs originated as limestone quarries during the Roman era, supplying materials for the city's construction. By the 18th century, Paris was grappling with the issue of overcrowded cemeteries, particularly the Central Cemetery of the Innocents, which was becoming a public health hazard. To address this problem, authorities decided to convert the abandoned quarries into an ossuary, a process that began in 1786 and continued until the mid-19th century. The bones from the overcrowded cemeteries were transported to the catacombs with great ceremony, blessed by priests and carefully arranged in artistic patterns. The dark, labyrinthine nature of the catacombs, combined with their macabre history, has fostered an atmosphere ripe for supernatural speculation. Over time, numerous legends have emerged, with some claiming that the tunnels are haunted by the spirits of those whose remains lie within, while others speak of the ghosts of revolutionaries and members of the French resistance who once sought refuge in the tunnels. Many visitors have reported inexplicable occurrences, such as sudden drops in temperature, unexplained noises, and even apparitions. Some believe that the spirits trapped within the tunnels are restless and tormented, drawn to the living who venture into their realm. In addition to ghostly encounters, there are also tales of mysterious creatures dwelling in the depths of the tunnels, further fueling the supernatural aura that surrounds this subterranean world. These legends have been perpetuated and amplified by popular culture, with the tunnels serving as the setting for numerous novels, films, and television shows that explore the theme of the haunted and the unknown. The Paris catacombs continue to captivate and intrigue visitors from around the world, drawn to their chilling history and the potential for supernatural encounters. The legends of the haunted catacombs also serve as a source of inspiration for those seeking to delve into the realms of the paranormal. Many ghost hunters and paranormal enthusiasts have ventured into the tunnels, armed with equipment designed to detect and document supernatural phenomena, in the hope of capturing definitive evidence of the spirits that are said to dwell within. The haunting history of the Paris catacombs is a testament to the enduring fascination with the unknown and the supernatural. The chilling atmosphere, combined with the macabre history of this subterranean world, has given rise to countless legends and ghost stories that continue to captivate the imagination. As a site of cultural and historical significance, the catacombs serve as a powerful reminder of the mysteries of the afterlife, drawing visitors from around the world. Today, the tunnels house the remains of an estimated 6 million people, making them one of the largest ossuaries in the world. The tunnels are a significant cultural and historical site, offering a unique window into the city's past. They serve as a stark reminder of the fragility of human life and the passage of time. Each year, thousands of tourists descend into the depths of the catacombs, eager to experience the eerie atmosphere and learn about their history. In recent years, there has been a growing interest in cataphiles, urban explorers who venture off the designated paths to explore the forbidden sections of the catacombs. While these adventures can be thrilling, they are also dangerous, as the tunnels can be disorienting and treacherous. Many who've explored the tunnels have said that there's evidence of residual haunting. Residual haunting is a term used in the field of paranormal research to describe a type of haunting that is believed to be a mere playback of past events, rather than an active interaction with an intelligent spirit. This phenomenon has been the subject of much debate and speculation among paranormal enthusiasts and skeptics alike. Residual haunting is a phenomenon in which seemingly paranormal occurrences appear to be replaying events from the past, often in a repetitive and consistent manner. These hauntings are believed to be the result of powerful emotions or traumatic experiences that have left an indelible imprint on the environment, causing the events to replay like a recording. Unlike traditional hauntings, which involve an intelligent spirit actively interacting with the living, residual hauntings are thought to be devoid of any conscious presence. Instead, they are said to be merely an echo of the past, with no ability to interact or communicate with the living. The concept of residual haunting has led to several theories attempting to explain the phenomenon. One popular explanation is the stone tape theory, which posits that certain materials, such as stone or metal, can absorb and store the energy of past events. When the right conditions are present, this stored energy may be released, allowing the events to replay in a seemingly paranormal manner. Another theory suggests that residual hauntings may be the result of a psychic imprint left by powerful emotions or experiences. This psychic energy may become embedded in the environment and can be perceived by individuals who are sensitive to such energy, resulting in the perception of a haunting. Located about 9 miles west of Ellensburg, Washington, there is reportedly a seemingly infinite hole in the ground. A man identifying himself as Mel Waters made a call into a well-known paranormal radio program in 1997. The radio program was Coast to Coast AM. The popular radio show that's based in the United States covers a broad range of subjects, with a particular focus on discussions of the paranormal. The pit has since been referred to as Mel's Hole and remains a topic of interest and speculation. For many years, a supposedly boundless abyss puzzled residents near its location. After its exposure by Waters, it garnered significant attention, gaining legendary status. Although some people questioned the veracity of Waters' extravagant assertions about the hole, many listeners were captivated, eager to learn more. Mel's Hole is considered one of the most enigmatic locations in the United States, attracting the intrigue of many curious individuals. Back in February 1997, Waters shared accounts of a well on his land that appeared to have mystical properties and was believed to be cursed, captivating the host and audience of the show. During the early days of settlement, a location in Kittitas County, Washington was notoriously referred to as the Devil's Hole by the first settlers who lived there. The owner kept the exact location undisclosed. In April 2000 and January 2002, follow-up calls were made with the station, and Waters' stories took an even stranger turn. Interestingly, little did anyone know that Mel's Hole, as it would become known, would continue to captivate the public's interest for a long time. The enigmatic hole was frequently utilized as an all-natural garbage dump by Waters, his neighbors, and the previous owners. Despite years of dumping household waste, furniture and construction debris into the hole, it never seemed to reach its limit. Eventually, Waters became interested in its depth and decided to carry out some tests to see how deep it was. During his initial appearance on the radio program, he recounted his efforts to determine the depth of the hole by deploying a substantial quantity of fishing line, saying that around 8,000 feet of it was used. However, according to Waters, the line did not extend to the bottom. The fishing line was the starting point of the bizarre events, and Waters suggested that this measuring caused something to happen. Oddly enough, not long after conducting these measurements, Waters states that one of his neighbors buried their pet dog in the hole, but to their surprise, the dog returned back to life and appeared to be unharmed in the nearby woods. The canine was identified by its collar, yet it failed to acknowledge its owner or obey his vocal commands. In a separate statement, Waters disclosed that Mel's hole had peculiar impacts on certain common items. Art Bell and his audience were captivated as Waters shared the peculiar behavior of metal objects and portable radios when they were in close proximity to the 9-foot-wide opening of the hole. According to Waters, when he held metals near the entrance, they would transform into different substances or metals without explanation. Additionally, he shared a peculiar anecdote about bringing his radio to the pit and tuning it to his preferred station, only to hear unfamiliar voices, antiquated music, and obscure programs. During his experimentation at the pit, Waters shared details of his various experiments, each of which yielded a more disturbing outcome than the previous one. He called up the radio station for the last time and shared some new details about what had happened at the hole during his most recent visits, including him lowering an ice-filled bucket at a depth of over 1,500 feet, only to discover that the ice not only stayed warm, but also transformed into a combustible material, something that he couldn't explain. During this appearance on Coast to Coast AM, Waters shared other strange incidents that had happened at the hole, including one of his neighbors seeing a beam of blacker-than-black light emanating from it. He also detailed that screams could be heard coming from the hole, and that those voices sounded like they were in pain. The conversation about Mel's hole eventually gained enough traction to draw the attention of the federal government. In a subsequent call, Waters shared that, on one occasion, as he was making his way to the pit, he was approached by a well-dressed individual in a black suit. The man explicitly instructed Waters that he could no longer approach the hole, and Waters witnessed individuals in infectious disease suits standing behind him. Shortly thereafter, the government rented out the property and provided a substantial sum to Waters to evacuate the premises. Waters agreed to the terms and relocated to Australia. The Blackbird of Chernobyl. On April 26, 1986, the world witnessed one of the most catastrophic nuclear disasters in history, the explosion of Reactor 4 at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in Ukraine. But in the months leading up to this disaster, a strange and eerie phenomenon was reported by the workers at Chernobyl, a mysterious, winged creature that has since become known as the Blackbird of Chernobyl. According to the residents of Pripyat and workers at the Chernobyl power plant, this creature was seen hovering ominously over the plant and occasionally perching on the large towers and construction areas. The sightings, which began in the weeks and months before the disaster, were marked by a sense of foreboding and dread, with many of those who encountered the creature reporting feelings of unease and fear. For some, the appearance of the Blackbird was an omen, a warning of the impending disaster that would soon change their lives forever. The first sightings of the Blackbird of Chernobyl were reported in early 1986, just a few months before the reactor explosion. Workers at the plant began to notice a large, dark figure in the sky, resembling a bird, but much larger than any species known to the area. The creature was described as having a wingspan of at least 10 feet, with dark, leathery wings and piercing red eyes that seemed to glow in the dark. It was often seen circling the plant or perched on the massive cooling towers, its presence both mysterious and unsettling. As the sightings continued, reports of strange occurrences began to spread among the workers. Some claimed that the creature emitted a high-pitched screech that was both terrifying and unearthly. Others reported having vivid nightmares after seeing the Blackbird, dreams filled with images of destruction, fire, and death. A sense of impending doom began to take hold among those who had encountered the creature, with many fearing that it was a sign of something terrible to come. The Blackbird was not just a fleeting shadow or a figment of imagination. Its presence was felt deeply by those who saw it, leaving an indelible mark on their psyche. Some workers even reported receiving mysterious phone calls after their sightings, with a voice on the other end speaking in a language they could not understand, further heightening their sense of dread. As news of the explosion spread, those who had witnessed the Blackbird in the weeks leading up to the disaster began to piece together the connection. For them, the creature had been a harbinger of doom, a warning that went unheeded until it was too late. The Blackbird of Chernobyl, once dismissed by skeptics as a mere myth or mass hallucination, was now seen as an omen that had foretold the catastrophe. The disaster itself had devastating consequences. The legend of the Blackbird of Chernobyl has endured in the decades since the disaster, becoming part of the mythology surrounding the event. For some, the creature is seen as a symbol of the tragedy, a supernatural entity that appears before major disasters as a warning or an omen. Similar creatures have been reported in other parts of the world, often associated with catastrophic events, leading some to believe that the Blackbird is part of a broader phenomenon. Mysterious lights seen immediately above Chernobyl. In the aftermath of the Chernobyl disaster in April 1986, stories emerged not only of radiation, heroic first responders, and evacuation, but also of something far stranger. Some witnesses have come forward over the years to report that, amid the chaos of the meltdown at Reactor 4, they observed mysterious unidentified flying objects hovering above the nuclear facility. These accounts have become the subject of great interest among researchers of unexplained aerial phenomena who point to similar sightings near missile silos and other high-security locations around the world. One of the most striking testimonies came from Mikhail Voritsky, an employee of the Radiation Control Department who was present during the disaster. According to his account, he and several others witnessed a large glowing object in the sky on the same day the reactor was compromised. The craft, described as a glowing sphere about 6 to 8 meters in diameter, appeared to hover motionless above the fourth reactor. From it extended 2 distinct crimson beams directed at the damaged structure below. The entire event, according to Voritsky, lasted for several minutes before the object silently vanished into the sky. What makes this story even more intriguing is what Voritsky claimed happened next. He said that shortly after the object appeared and released its beams of light, radiation levels near the reactor began to drop significantly, almost fourfold. This unexpected reduction in radiation levels was viewed by some researchers as more than just a coincidence. To those who study UFOs, this event has become one of the most compelling pieces of evidence that some unknown intelligence may be monitoring or even intervening in critical moments involving nuclear technology. The concept that UFOs take an interest in nuclear facilities is not unique to Chernobyl. Over the decades, similar claims have come from military personnel stationed at missile bases in the United States, the former Soviet Union, and elsewhere. In these accounts, unknown objects are reported to appear during weapons tests or nuclear alerts, often breaching secure airspace without being detected by traditional radar systems. Before fighter jets or reconnaissance teams can investigate, the objects vanish, leaving behind nothing but speculation and the unnerving impression of having been observed. In the case of Chernobyl, the presence of a UFO during one of the worst nuclear incidents in history has led some to wonder whether these entities were simply watching or actively intervening. If Voritsky's account is accurate, and the radiation levels were indeed reduced after the appearance of the craft, it raises profound questions. Was this an attempt to mitigate the disaster? Or could this have been a form of help from a more advanced intelligence, one that is silently aware of the potential dangers humanity faces from its own technology? While skeptics may argue these sightings are misidentifications or hallucinations brought on by stress, the consistency and context of these reports continue to fascinate those who search for answers. For now, the mystery remains suspended in time, hovering over the ruined walls of Reactor 4, much like the strange object said to have appeared there on that fateful day. Mysterious blue light seen above Reactor Number 4. Dr. Jensine Anderson, a researcher and author with a deep interest in the intersection of nuclear history and unexplained aerial phenomena, has argued that there exists a compelling pattern connecting nuclear incidents and UFO sightings over the past several decades. According to her analysis, these strange occurrences are not isolated or random, but are part of a broader and more systematic pattern. In a detailed examination of 39 testimonies, Anderson uncovered a clear connection between significant nuclear events and mysterious unidentified objects appearing in the skies nearby. These testimonies, spanning from the 1940s to the 1990s, were drawn from credible sources, many of which were supported by declassified US government documents from agencies such as the FBI and CIA. These reports revealed a long-standing awareness within intelligence circles of UFO activity occurring in proximity to nuclear facilities, test sites, and power plants. In several of these accounts, military personnel described unidentified craft entering restricted airspace without triggering alarms or being intercepted. The objects, often described as disks, spheres, or glowing lights, would perform maneuvers well beyond the capabilities of known aircraft. One of the most striking examples highlighted by Anderson is the 1986 Chernobyl disaster. During one of the most devastating nuclear accidents in human history, as emergency teams scrambled to contain the explosion and fire at Reactor 4, multiple witnesses reported seeing an unidentified object hovering above the facility. This object, described by those present as a silent, glowing sphere, reportedly arrived during the peak of the crisis. According to the witnesses, the object remained motionless in the sky for approximately 3 minutes, during which it directed a beam of light at the burning reactor. After this brief but intense display, the object vanished just as suddenly as it had appeared. Witnesses also claimed that radiation levels at the site appeared to drop following the object's appearance. While such a claim is difficult to scientifically verify, the correlation between the presence of the UFO and a decrease in radiation added to the sense of mystery and speculation. To many observers, this raised the possibility that the object may not have simply been monitoring the incident, but perhaps intervening in some unknown way. Anderson believes this event stands out as one of the most compelling examples of unexplained aerial phenomena associated with a nuclear emergency. She emphasizes that such incidents are not limited to Chernobyl. Numerous other sightings have been reported near American and Russian nuclear weapons facilities, including missile silos and warhead storage sites. In some instances, these sightings were accompanied by inexplicable equipment malfunctions or sudden power disruptions, which further deepened the intrigue. Anderson's research suggests that these encounters are not coincidental and that they may reflect a long-standing interest by unknown intelligences in humanity's nuclear capabilities. While definitive conclusions remain elusive, Anderson's work invites a re-examination of what governments may have known for decades about the curious connection between nuclear technology and the unexplained presence of mysterious aerial craft. Mysterious encounters with mutated spiders within the exclusion zone. Within the shadowy depths of the Chernobyl exclusion zone, where time seems to have stopped in 1986, a chilling tale has begun to circulate among explorers and researchers. The story centers on a mysterious and terrifying creature said to inhabit one of the many decaying apartment blocks that still stand in the abandoned city of Pripyat. According to those who claim to have encountered it, this creature is a spider, yet unlike any spider known to science. It is said to be enormous, mutated, and disturbingly intelligent. The rumors suggest that the creature only emerges after sunset, stalking the abandoned corridors and stairwells of its building in search of prey. Some accounts tell of small animals disappearing without a trace in the area, while others describe unnerving sounds that echo through the night, like skittering limbs on concrete or the faint scratching of something massive brushing against broken furniture. Those who've been brave enough to enter the building have often emerged visibly shaken, claiming to have seen glimpses of large, multi-legged shadows or eyes reflecting strangely in the dark. The creature has reportedly been spotted in a particularly irradiated zone, where radiation levels spike dramatically more than in surrounding areas. These hotspots are believed to be the result of residual contamination embedded in the walls and soil, giving rise to theories that the spider's enormous size and aggressive behavior are the result of long-term exposure to radiation. While most wildlife in the zone has shown signs of minor mutations or adaptation, this creature appears to defy what many thought possible. Descriptions vary, but most witnesses claim the spider spans over 2 feet in diameter, with legs that stretch even farther. Its color is said to be dark, almost blending into the shadows with a hardened, almost armor-like exoskeleton. What's most disturbing to some is its apparent awareness. Multiple visitors have shared eerily similar stories of feeling watched from the darkness or hearing sounds that seemed too coordinated to be random. Some have even claimed that the creature retreated when lights were shined on it, only to reappear moments later in a different part of the structure. Despite skepticism from scientific communities, the frequency of these stories has continued to grow, especially among so-called Chernobyl urban explorers who document their nighttime visits. Whether the creature truly exists or not, it has come to symbolize something deeper for many. In a place defined by catastrophe, secrecy, and the long-lasting consequences of human error, the story of the mutated spider serves as a reminder that nature often reacts in unpredictable ways. Perhaps the spider is just an exaggeration born of fear and folklore, or perhaps, in the still and radioactive silence of Pripyat, something ancient and altered truly does crawl. Either way, the building remains undisturbed by most, avoided not just because of radiation, but because of what may be waiting within. Mysterious entities seen around the exclusion zone. In the years since the Chernobyl disaster, the exclusion zone surrounding the former power plant has become a destination for researchers, explorers, and curious travelers drawn to the haunting silence of the abandoned city of Pripyat. Among the decaying buildings and overgrown streets, countless visitors have shared stories of strange experiences, many of which suggest something more than just the lingering effects of a nuclear accident. Some report seeing ghostly figures, unexplained shadows, and eerie movements in the periphery of their vision, prompting discussions that Chernobyl may not only be a site of historical tragedy, but also a place of paranormal activity. Witnesses have described seeing transparent figures wandering through buildings or standing silently in windows. These sightings often occur in the abandoned schools, hospitals, and apartment blocks that once housed thousands of residents. Some explorers claim that when entering certain structures, they are suddenly overcome with a sense of dread or heaviness, as if the environment itself is watching them. Others speak of hearing faint voices, footsteps, or even laughter in places where no other people are present. One particularly common phenomenon is the appearance of what are known as shadow people. These are dark, human-like forms that seem to move quickly out of the corners of the eye and vanish when looked at directly. In some accounts, these shadow figures appear to follow visitors or watch them from a distance. Some describe feeling as though they are being accompanied by an invisible presence throughout their time in the zone. Skeptics often attribute these experiences to psychological factors such as stress, heightened adrenaline, or the power of suggestion. The eerie, desolate setting of the exclusion zone, combined with knowledge of the tragedy that unfolded there, can certainly affect the human mind in unexpected ways. However, the consistency and volume of these reports have led some to consider the possibility that something supernatural may be occurring. Theories vary on why Chernobyl might be a focal point for paranormal activity. Some believe the intense emotional energy released during the evacuation and aftermath left a kind of spiritual imprint on the land. Others suggest that the radiation itself may be interacting with energy fields in unknown ways, creating phenomena that science cannot yet explain. There are even those who believe that certain souls may remain tethered to the site, unable or unwilling to move on due to the sudden and traumatic nature of the event. Whether these stories are the result of psychological reactions or genuine encounters with the unknown, they contribute to the lasting aura of mystery surrounding the Chernobyl exclusion zone. The combination of historical tragedy, environmental silence, and persistent reports of the unexplained makes it a location unlike any other. For many, the zone is not only a reminder of the past, but also a place where the boundary between the physical and the spiritual world feels thinner, an enduring enigma that continues to draw the curious and the brave. Former Chernobyl engineer reveals he witnessed a major nuclear leak at the plant 4 years before the 1986 disaster. In recent years, new revelations have surfaced regarding the infamous Chernobyl disaster, shedding light on events that occurred well before the catastrophic explosion in 1986. A former engineer named Nikolai Steinberg, who worked at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant during its construction and early operation, has come forward to share a disturbing account of a serious nuclear incident that allegedly occurred 4 years before the widely known tragedy. According to Steinberg, this earlier accident was kept hidden from both the public and many of the plant's own employees, illustrating the secrecy and control that characterized the Soviet Union's handling of sensitive information. Steinberg, who served as the head of turbines during the summer of 1982, was directly involved in the day-to-day technical operations at the plant. During a recent appearance on the UK documentary series The Chernobyl Disaster, he described how a routine exercise unexpectedly turned into a moment of crisis. While in his office, he heard an announcement about an incident at the second reactor unit. Curious and concerned, he left his office and observed something highly unusual: steam escaping from a ventilation pipe nearby. He recognized this as a troubling sign, indicating the presence of a major nuclear leak at Reactor 1. His account claims that despite the severity of the situation, the leadership at the plant never issued formal briefings to the staff. Steinberg expected that workers would be addressed immediately and that steps would be taken to analyze the failure. Instead, he and his team were left in uncertainty. He organized an emergency meeting to discuss the situation, only for it never to occur. By early morning, employees quietly left the premises without answers. According to Steinberg, this silence was not due to a lack of awareness, but rather a deliberate effort to suppress the event. He alleges that the KGB, which maintained a constant presence at the site, quickly acted to cover up the leak and control the narrative. This pattern of secrecy, Steinberg noted, was typical of the time. In the Soviet system, even critical safety issues were often suppressed to maintain the illusion of control and to avoid political embarrassment. Workers like Steinberg, despite their technical knowledge and first-hand observations, were never officially informed of what had taken place. No formal reports were filed, and no public acknowledgement was made. As a result, the incident quietly faded into obscurity, until Steinberg chose to speak out decades later. Dr. Natalia Chernyshova, a historian who studied declassified documents from the era, provided further insight into the methods of control exercised by the Soviet authorities. Following the 1982 event, she explained, the KGB likely focused on determining whether the accident was caused by negligence or possible sabotage. More importantly, they would have worked to suppress any rumors that could spread panic among the population. In her research into government records dating back to 1983, which were only declassified in 2017, Dr. Chernyshova found evidence of manipulated information and efforts to discredit individuals who tried to speak about the truth. One particularly revealing report showed that between January 1978 and December 1982, the Chernobyl station had suffered 27 accidents and 87 instances of equipment failure. Astonishingly, 5 of these accidents and 16 failures occurred during 1982 alone, the same year as Steinberg's alleged leak. Following that event, radiation levels reportedly spread across a 9-mile radius, yet residents of Pripyat were never informed of any danger. The decision to keep such events under wraps may have had long-term consequences, both for the safety of those living near the facility and for the workers tasked with maintaining it. Had the problems been acknowledged and thoroughly investigated, lessons might have been learned, and future disasters potentially avoided. Steinberg's testimony adds another layer to the complex story of Chernobyl, reminding the world that the disaster of 1986 may have been preceded by warning signs, ones that were tragically ignored or concealed. Fungi found in Chernobyl feeds on radiation. In the aftermath of the Chernobyl nuclear disaster, scientists have made a remarkable discovery that sheds new light on how nature adapts and even thrives under extreme conditions. A particular type of fungus, Cladosporium sphaerospermum, has been found in and around the Chernobyl exclusion zone, feeding on radiation through a unique process known as radiosynthesis. This process allows the fungus to convert harmful gamma radiation into chemical energy using melanin, the same pigment that gives skin its color. Originally identified in 1991, this organism drew scientific interest due to its unusual preference for highly radioactive environments. Over time, researchers began to realize that Cladosporium sphaerospermum was not only surviving in these hazardous zones, but was actively growing toward the most radioactive areas. Its unusual behavior led scientists to dig deeper into its biological mechanisms, uncovering its ability to use melanin in much the same way that plants use chlorophyll in photosynthesis, transforming a form of energy into sustenance. This discovery is significant not only because of what it reveals about the resilience of life, but also because of its potential future applications. Researchers are now exploring the possibility of using this fungus as a biological radiation shield, especially in space environments where exposure to cosmic radiation poses a major risk. The radiation levels aboard the International Space Station are considerably higher than those on Earth, presenting a constant challenge for astronaut safety. By applying the fungus as a protective layer, or by isolating and utilizing its melanin, scientists may be able to create lightweight, efficient radiation barriers for use in spacecraft and spacesuits. NASA scientists are particularly interested in the material's potential. Beyond spacecraft design, the melanin from this fungus could be refined and used to develop protective sunscreens or skin treatments for both astronauts and people on Earth. Since melanin naturally absorbs radiation, incorporating it into skincare products could provide enhanced defense against ultraviolet rays and other forms of radiation exposure. Furthermore, the fungus's ability to convert harmful radiation into usable energy opens new doors in the field of renewable energy. Though still in its early stages of research, the idea that low-level radiation could be harvested and converted through biological means is gaining traction. The implications are vast, not only for space exploration, but also for use in hazardous zones on Earth, such as nuclear sites or even medical facilities where radiation is routinely used. Cladosporium sphaerospermum represents a fascinating intersection of biology and technology. Its discovery in one of the most inhospitable environments on Earth, coupled with its impressive adaptive abilities, makes it a subject of intense study. As science continues to explore its properties, this humble fungus may become a crucial tool in the ongoing quest to protect human life in both terrestrial and extraterrestrial environments. Whether serving as a radiation shield, a component in advanced materials, or a future source of biological energy, its story is one of nature's incredible ability to adapt, survive, and ultimately offer solutions to modern challenges. Drone survey of Chernobyl's Red Forest reveals radioactive hotspots. More than 3 decades after the catastrophic Chernobyl disaster, the legacy of that fateful event continues to cast a long and unsettling shadow. The 1986 nuclear explosion released a staggering amount of radiation, nearly 400 times more than the Hiroshima atomic bomb, and its aftermath still reverberates across the region. Today, with the aid of cutting-edge drone technology, scientists are uncovering fresh insights into the ongoing effects of the disaster, revealing that some parts of the exclusion zone remain far more dangerous than previously understood. A team of researchers from the UK National Centre for Nuclear Robotics recently embarked on a mission to survey the vast 1,000 square mile exclusion zone. Armed with a state-of-the-art drone mapping system, they employed a technique known as light detection and ranging to create precise 3-dimensional maps of the terrain, but the mission was not limited to visual data alone. The team also utilized gamma-ray sensors mounted to the drones to measure radiation levels throughout the area. By methodically scanning each section of the zone, the researchers were able to generate a detailed radiation map, one that revealed a number of unexpected and concerning findings. Chief among these discoveries was the persistence of highly radioactive hotspots within the Red Forest, an area located just 1/3 of a mile from the original reactor site. This part of the forest earned its name due to the reddish hue the trees turned after absorbing massive doses of radiation at the time of the explosion. Although it was always known to be heavily contaminated, the intensity of the radiation still present there shocked the team. The presence of long-lived radioisotopes means that the contamination will continue to pose serious health risks for the foreseeable future. Perhaps the most troubling aspect of this discovery is the fact that these hotspots had gone undetected for so long. Prior to the drone-based mapping project, radiation levels in the zone were assumed to be declining at a steady pace. In recent years, this assumption led to increasing numbers of tourists being granted access to the area. Since 2011, more than 70,000 visitors per year have toured the exclusion zone, many unknowingly venturing close to areas with dangerously high radiation concentrations. The revelation that some of these locations remained extremely hazardous underscores a critical gap in monitoring and risk assessment. This situation raises broader questions about how much we truly understand about long-term nuclear contamination. The use of advanced technology such as drones and radiation mapping systems is shedding new light on forgotten or overlooked areas. Yet, the fact that such significant radiation hotspots could exist unnoticed for decades emphasizes the need for continued vigilance. The assumption that time alone would neutralize the dangers has proven to be dangerously optimistic. Ultimately, the findings from the Red Forest serve as a sobering reminder. The consequences of nuclear disasters are not merely historical footnotes. They are living, evolving realities. Ongoing research, investment in technology, and international cooperation are essential to ensure that the full scope of such incidents is understood and properly managed. Chernobyl wolves could be spreading mutations in Europe. The 1986 Chernobyl disaster remains one of the most devastating nuclear incidents in human history. Caused during a safety test gone wrong, it is one of only 2 events ever to receive a level 7, the highest possible ranking, on the International Nuclear Event Scale. While the explosion and the immediate response were widely documented and publicized, the long-term consequences, particularly those affecting the environment and wildlife, continue to unfold with often unsettling implications. One such concern emerging in recent years revolves around the wolves of the Chernobyl exclusion zone and the possibility that they may be spreading mutations beyond the area. In the initial aftermath of the Chernobyl reactor explosion, the world watched in horror. The blast released massive amounts of radiation, affecting hundreds of workers, some of whom became seriously ill, with others impacted long after the fact. However, measuring the true human toll has remained a complicated task due to the delayed effects of radiation exposure and the difficulty of tracing all illnesses back to the disaster. Although a structure known as the sarcophagus was built to contain the radiation and a large swath of land around the site was sealed off and labelled the Chernobyl exclusion zone, the long-term impact on nature and wildlife was less easily contained. Unlike humans, animals do not heed boundaries. Wolves, in particular, roam far and wide, and the area surrounding Chernobyl has become an unlikely refuge for wildlife. In the absence of human presence, populations of animals such as wild boar, moose, and European grey wolves have thrived in the dense forests of northern Ukraine. Yet, with the potential lingering effects of radiation, scientists have grown increasingly concerned about the possibility that animals might be affected at a genetic level, and even more troubling, that they could carry these changes beyond the exclusion zone. In a study published in 2018, researchers equipped 13 wolves with tracking collars capable of monitoring radiation levels and movement. While many of the wolves remained within the known boundaries of radioactive contamination, one particular wolf travelled over 250 miles and was eventually recorded in Russia. This marked the first recorded case of such a long-distance migration from inside the exclusion zone to the wider European landscape. Jim Beasley, a wildlife ecologist at the University of Georgia and one of the researchers involved in the study, emphasized that while long-distance migration by young male wolves is expected behavior during mating periods, the data confirms that significant and stable populations do exist within the exclusion zone. With a robust wolf population established, it is natural for younger animals to seek new territory, thereby expanding their reach, and potentially the reach of any genetic or environmental alterations caused by radiation. Although this study does not definitively prove that these wolves are spreading mutations, it raises pressing questions. Previous research has shown that radiation exposure in smaller animals such as birds, insects, and rodents has led to a variety of physical mutations. These include smaller brain sizes, cataracts, tumors, and developmental abnormalities. While the same outcomes have not been conclusively observed in larger mammals like wolves, the potential remains a topic of interest and concern. Michael Byrne, an expert in animal movement from the University of Missouri, pointed out that migration is a natural response when an ecosystem reaches capacity. However, what makes the Chernobyl scenario so unique is that this migration could be carrying unknown biological risks across borders. With the ability to travel through forests and across national boundaries, the possibility that wolves could be spreading radiation-induced mutations, even if not radiation itself, poses a complex ecological challenge. It's important to consider that the very fact a wolf managed to travel so far might indicate it was not heavily burdened by the effects of radiation. Mutations that significantly affect mobility, sensory perception, or physical strength would naturally limit an animal's capacity to undertake such a journey. Still, the presence of such wolves demonstrates that the exclusion zone is not an isolated bubble. Wildlife is capable of extending the reach of that space in ways not previously anticipated. Ultimately, this situation highlights just how little is truly known about the long-term environmental impact of nuclear disasters. More research is needed to fully understand how radiation exposure may affect genetic structures across generations and whether those changes are being transferred beyond the original site of the accident. The presence of thriving yet potentially affected animal populations in Chernobyl is a paradox, life enduring in a place once thought to be lifeless but possibly changed in unknown ways. As scientists continue to study this region, the goal remains to gain insight not only into the risks posed to wildlife, but to ecosystems at large. Understanding the movement and genetic health of creatures like the Chernobyl wolves may provide crucial information that helps shape future environmental policy, nuclear safety regulations, and conservation strategies. The Chernobyl disaster may be decades old, but its consequences are still very much in motion. Chernobyl will be uninhabitable for at least 3,000 years. More than 30 years have passed since the explosion at Reactor 4 of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, yet the impact of that single catastrophic event continues to echo through time. The city of Pripyat, once a thriving hub for plant workers and their families, remains frozen in silence, a modern ruin swallowed by nature and radioactive contamination. Experts estimate that the region will remain uninhabitable for at least 3,000 years, with some saying that the true number may be significantly longer. According to a 2016 Greenpeace report, the nuclear disaster caused profound and irreversible environmental damage. While some radioactive particles break down relatively quickly, others, like cesium-137 and strontium-90, have half-lives of around 30 years and continue to contaminate soil, water, and plants across a wide radius. Even more concerning are elements like plutonium-239, which has a half-life of over 24,000 years. These radioactive materials still linger across the exclusion zone and beyond, creating risks that cannot be seen, smelled, or felt, yet remain dangerously real. Some voices challenge these assessments and suggest that it may be safe to return, but the scientific community largely disagrees. The Chernobyl accident serves as a powerful reminder of the potential risks involved with nuclear energy. Following the explosion and fire in 1986, roughly 220,000 people were relocated from their homes. In Belarus and Ukraine, tens of thousands of square kilometers of farmland and forest were rendered unusable. The damage wasn't just physical, it left deep psychological and social wounds that remain today. Sergei Parashin, an engineer who worked at the plant from 1977 until the day of the disaster, has reflected on the tragedy with a mix of sorrow and humility. He described the atmosphere among the engineers at the time as overly confident. They believed nothing could go wrong. That belief was shattered in an instant, and the consequences revealed the limits of human control over nuclear technology. Today's cleanup operations continue, but even with modern advancements, the task remains monumental. Ihor Gromotkin, who once served as the director of the Chernobyl plant, has warned that the 3,000-year estimate may actually be optimistic. In his view, the area closest to the reactor might remain uninhabitable for up to 20,000 years. These longer estimates reflect the difficulty of removing or containing the deep-seated radioactive elements within the environment. Though outer areas of the exclusion zone show reduced radiation levels, hotspots persist and may do so for millennia. Despite these warnings, some residents have made the choice to return. These self-settlers, mostly elderly, have moved back into homes that were evacuated decades ago. One such resident is Alexandra Lozbin, who returned with her husband in 2010 to a village just 7 kilometers from the Chernobyl plant. Her husband had always wanted to return to his homeland. Even when the area was sealed off, he made his way back through the barbed wire. Their decision, while personal, carries symbolic weight. It speaks to a human desire to reconnect with roots, to reclaim identity, and to defy isolation. Alexandra believes others will return one day too. She hopes her children and grandchildren will come to understand the life that once flourished there, despite the silence that now defines the land. Her story is one of resilience, even if it exists in the shadow of risk. Chernobyl is more than just a symbol of a failed reactor. It represents the enduring consequences of technological overreach and the delicate balance between progress and responsibility. The region's long path to recovery reminds the world that certain mistakes leave scars not just for years or decades, but for generations, perhaps even longer than humanity can currently imagine. Mysterious scoop marks found under the unfinished obelisk in Egypt. The unfinished obelisk in Aswan, Egypt, stands as one of the most captivating mysteries of ancient engineering. Lying partially detached from the granite bedrock, it offers a unique window into the quarrying process used thousands of years ago. Estimated to weigh approximately 1,168 tons, this massive structure surpasses the size of any other known obelisk ever successfully erected in Egypt, the largest of which weighed just over 500 tons. While it remains rooted in the bedrock due to a fatal crack that halted its completion, it raises profound questions about the tools, techniques, and knowledge possessed by the ancient Egyptians. Aswan, renowned for its rich granite quarries, served as the primary source of this hard stone for many of Egypt's iconic structures. Even as far back as the time of Ramses III around 1170 BC, the quarry was under structured supervision, such as by a man named Hori. However, granite from this quarry was in use long before this period. It was employed in the construction of various parts of the Giza pyramid complex, including the 70-ton granite beams found in the King's Chamber of the Great Pyramid and in numerous columns, temples, and sarcophagi throughout the region. Curiously, advanced dating methods such as optical thermoluminescence have pushed back the origin of the granite casing stones used on the Pyramid of Menkaure, suggesting they may date from as far back as 3590 BC. This significantly predates Menkaure's reign and even the founding of Egypt's first dynasty. Such findings imply that the Aswan quarry was active long before previously believed, altering long-held assumptions about the timeline of ancient Egyptian civilization. The most intriguing aspect of the unfinished obelisk lies beneath it. The floor of the trench carved to shape the obelisk reveals a series of large, curved scoop marks. These impressions are unlike those expected from primitive hand tools. Traditional explanations involve pounding granite with diorite stones, diorite being one of the few materials harder than granite. Egyptologist Mark Lehner and other experts have attempted to recreate the process, estimating it would take many months of continuous labor to release such a structure. Engineer Christopher Dunn, however, calculated that the labor requirements, along with the limited working space, suggest an even more daunting scenario. These scoop marks have ignited speculation among engineers and alternative researchers alike. Dunn and others have posited the possibility of ancient advanced machinery being used, perhaps akin to modern industrial stone-cutting tools. The curvature and consistency of the marks bear resemblance to mechanical scooping rather than random pounding. Some researchers propose that vibrational or sonic technologies may have been utilized, methods which remain theoretical to modern science but are gaining traction in fringe research circles. The very precision and scale of the obelisk, combined with its unfinished state, leave behind an unfiltered record of what might have been a once common yet now lost technique. Transporting the obelisk, even if it had been successfully removed, would have been a Herculean feat. The logistics of lifting and moving a 1,100-ton block of stone remain uncertain. Some obelisks from the same quarry were later erected across Egypt and even in distant lands such as Rome and Paris, adding further mystery to how such transportation was achieved. Theories range from immense wooden sleds and wet sand methods to anti-gravity or levitation technologies supported by sound. Despite conventional academic resistance, the site challenges visitors with its raw honesty. Unlike polished temples and restored monuments, the unfinished obelisk shows an interrupted process, one that opens the door to interpretation rather than conclusions. It allows scholars, engineers, and independent researchers to witness evidence that defies easy explanation. Whether these curious tool marks were made by long-lost techniques, misunderstood manual labor, or forgotten technology, their presence suggests that the story of ancient Egypt is far from fully written. The enduring mystery of the unfinished obelisk is not just in its size, but in what it reveals. As one gazes into the trench and sees the parallel grooves etched into solid granite, a feeling of awe emerges. If this was accomplished without advanced tools, then the ancient Egyptians possessed a level of ingenuity and stamina that exceeds modern comprehension. If it was done with machinery or unknown energy-based methods, then it opens a new chapter in understanding human history, one that hints at forgotten sciences and civilizations capable of remarkable feats. Ultimately, the unfinished obelisk of Aswan remains one of the most compelling relics of the ancient world. Giant finger found in Egypt. In 1988, adventurer Gregor Spory discovered an enormous severed digit in Egypt. He was 33 years old when he took a vacation to Egypt to study the cosmic energy of the Great Pyramid of Giza and discover shipwrecks. Spory was asked to meet Najib, the offspring of tomb robbers, when he got to know the barman at his Cairo hotel. In 2012, Spory presented his experience to the public and stated in an interview that it was in an oblong container and smelt musty. He said that when he first saw the giant finger, he was completely taken back by it, but was told that he could handle it and take photos of it. He said that in order to give context to its size, he placed a bill next to it, adding that a layer of dried mold coated the broken finger. Gregor Spory claims that in addition to the finger, the tomb robber who discovered it also possessed an X-ray and a certificate of authenticity dating back to the 1960s. Following his departure from Egypt, Spory was curious to learn more about this amazing artifact and the location of the remaining portion of this enormous creature. He was driven to study more about Egypt and went back there in 2009. Unfortunately, all evidence of the weird finger that has scientists and experts scratching their heads has disappeared along with the elderly man who had let Spory take images of it. All that's left now are these few astounding photos and myths about creatures that once coexisted with humans in the far past. Professor Frank J. Rooley, an expert in the study of mummification, stated that the finger possessed human-like bones and joints, but with noticeably thicker walls. Dr. Benecki concurred, but proposed that the digit originated from a patient with macrodactyly, an uncommon disorder characterized by excessively huge extremities, brought on by expansion of bone and tissue. Gregor spoke with a number of other scientists who agreed that the finger appeared genuine, but they thought it might have something to do with human gigantism, as they didn't agree that this belonged to a giant. Since then, Gregor has continued his research and published a post on his website explaining why the finger could not be a case of macrodactyly. In 2009, he went back to Egypt in an attempt to find Najib or any information pertaining to the finger, but his search proved unsuccessful. He continues to believe that the enormous finger he was holding in Najib's home nearly 40 years ago actually exists. Boriska, a child prodigy, was born in 1996 and is also known as Little Boris. According to his mother, who is a doctor, she recognized her son's exceptional nature when he was able to hold his head up without any assistance, a mere 2 weeks after his birth. According to her, he commenced speaking a few months after his birth and was capable of reading, drawing, and painting by the age of 18 months. When Boriska, at the young age of 2, attended kindergarten, his teachers were immediately impressed by his exceptional writing and language abilities and his impressive memory skills. This left a significant impression on his teachers, who could hardly believe the young child's remarkable abilities. The young boy has insisted on multiple occasions that he used to be a pilot from Mars and had traveled to Earth. Boriska's parents maintain that they didn't educate their son about space as a youngster, yet he would frequently converse about Mars, planetary structures, and extraterrestrial societies. According to reports, his infatuation with space became his primary interest, and soon after, he began proclaiming to have been born on the planet Mars. According to researchers, he was an introverted young man who exhibited intelligence above the norm. He asserts that there are still many unexplored mysteries on this planet, citing the Great Pyramid of Giza as an example of a structure that conceals valuable insights. Boriska claims that once the Sphinx is opened, using an unknown mechanism located behind its ear, human life will be transformed. The exact details of this mechanism are unclear to Boriska. Boriska elaborates that the incident on Mars was a result of a nuclear conflict among the inhabitants of the planet. According to him, a small number of people managed to survive and subsequently constructed shelters for protection while simultaneously developing new weaponry. According to the boy, Martians inhale carbon dioxide, and in case they visit Earth, they would require pipes filled with this gas to exhale. Boriska, despite experiencing a significant nuclear disaster in the distant past, Mars is said to harbor a community of extraterrestrial beings. He asserts that there are still many unexplored mysteries on this planet, citing the Great Pyramid of Giza as an example of a structure that conceals valuable insights. Boriska claims that once the Sphinx is opened, using an unknown mechanism located behind its ear, human life will be transformed. The exact details of this mechanism are unclear to Boriska. Oddly enough, many have pointed out that there is a mysterious hole that was mysteriously sealed up in the Sphinx's head. The Great Sphinx of Giza, commonly known as the Sphinx, is a grand limescale structure in the Golden Giza Desert of Egypt. The statue is of a reclining sphinx, a mythical creature that combines the head of a human with the body of a lion. The Sphinx is seen as a dangerous, merciless creature in Greek mythology. In Egyptian mythology, however, the Sphinx is a slightly less cruel creature. Unlike the Greek Sphinx, the Egyptian one is firstly male, and secondly is described as more benevolent than the Greek Sphinx. However, they are both thought to be extremely strong and guarded the entrance to temples in ancient times. Today, the Sphinx is a tourist attraction more than anything. Such an incredible architectural feat naturally draws a lot of attention, and historians and researchers have spent years delving into the history of the Sphinx. Naturally, this leaves various unanswered questions. The first modern archaeological dig of the Sphinx was undertaken in 1817, but it was some time before that it had been visited and captured in painting. Around 1798, French painter Vivant Denon painted a picture of the Sphinx, but when it was finished, critics noticed something a little strange. Denon had painted a man being pulled out of the head of the Sphinx. Two figures were helping a third out of the cavernous head of the statue, which had been painted side on. Now, you may wonder whether this was simply a matter of imagination. Perhaps Denon had wanted to add something a little different to the painting. But of course, nobody knew for sure, as it was the 18th century, and the beauty of both aviation and drone imagery had not quite been invented yet. However, in the 1920s, aerial photography had become possible, and lo and behold, what appeared on the Sphinx's head? A hole, big enough for a man to fit through. Naturally, this made Denon's painting all the more interesting. It appeared he'd actually seen people climbing out of the Sphinx, which begged the question, who was in the Sphinx, and what were they doing? Not a lot is known about the history of the Sphinx, or at least there isn't a lot of definitive knowledge, but researchers have noticed that the head of the Sphinx is made from different materials to the rest of the statue. The head appears to be made out of a man-made substance rather than limestone, hence the darkness of the stone of the head compared to the body. Furthermore, the Sphinx's head has hardly eroded and appears smoother than its body. This again points to the idea that the head was somehow interfered with, maybe long before any Western peoples even knew of its existence. But this still doesn't answer the question of why those men were in the head of the Sphinx. One thing that is known is that restoration work has been done on the Great Sphinx. Something to note, though, is that at the time, and as mentioned by Tour Egypt, systematic research on the water table, pollution, and on the properties of the stone and mortar were undertaken. They note, though, that for some unknown reason, these discoveries were not applied when the restoration work was being carried out. It's been theorized that the hole in the head of a Sphinx actually led to an ancient underground chamber, which then joined up to more underground chambers beneath the Great Pyramids. This secret city, as it was dubbed by the mainstream media, was allegedly found in March of 1935. Newspapers even covered the topic, and it was speculated that this discovery would have gone down in history as being one of the greatest. However, not one Egyptologist or researcher commented on the findings. It was almost as if every researcher forgot about these initial discoveries. There was complete silence from those studying and working alongside these structures. Back in 1987, a Japanese research team from Tokyo's Waseda University began an extensive underground survey of the regions surrounding the Great Sphinx statue, utilizing groundbreaking technology at the time known as the electromagnetic sounding survey radar, in an attempt to better image the sunken regions of the Sphinx statue. Under the direction of head researcher Sakuji Yoshimura, the team got some of the most accurate 3D rendered images of the statue ever seen, with a strange revelation that no one had seen coming. For some unknown reason, the Japanese survey team discovered an extensive system of cavities and tunnels inside and underneath the Great Sphinx monolith that were believed to have been previously undiscovered. According to the team, south of the Sphinx was a hollow tunnel believed to have been 2.5 meters wide and 3 meters tall, connecting two chambers, a small and large chamber that appears to connect to additional tunnels that stretched north, south, and southeast of the Sphinx's direction. Portions of shafts were found in unconnected areas beneath the Sphinx, with additional cavities found inside the structure of the Sphinx and beside the body of the Sphinx, unconnected to the tunnels beneath the monolith. None of these findings have been pursued after the survey, with many denying the existence of the tunnels and shafts, despite the mountains of clear imaging evidence gathered under the direction of lead researchers. The frustrating thing about this is that there's no conclusion to the mysterious hole seen in the Sphinx's head. We know it was there as we have photographs and paintings, but as of right, only theories can be put forward for why it was sealed up. The ancient Egyptians have filled history with spectacular cultural offerings, from the pharaohs to the pyramids to the Great Sphinx itself. When we as a race discover something that old, it's only natural to begin to wonder whether there is a little more to these beautiful pieces of history than the accepted truths. Who knows what really lurks in the mysterious ancient catacombs beneath the Sphinx? Perhaps one day we might find out. Until that time, though, we can only put forward our theories as to why these chambers have been kept a secret from the public. In the annals of ancient history, few figures loom as large as Queen Nefertiti, the great royal wife of Pharaoh Akhenaten and one of ancient Egypt's most iconic and mysterious queens. Renowned for her beauty, power, and influence, Nefertiti's reign during the 14th century BCE marked a transformative period in Egyptian history, characterized by religious revolution, cultural upheaval, and artistic innovation. Yet, despite her prominence in the historical record, the mysterious disappearance of Queen Nefertiti remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of the ancient world. Nefertiti's rise to power began in the early years of her husband's reign, when Pharaoh Akhenaten ascended to the throne and embarked on a radical religious reform known as the Amarna period. Central to this reform was the worship of the sun disk Aten as the supreme deity and the establishment of a new capital city at Amarna dedicated to the cult of Aten. As Akhenaten's chief consort and co-regent, Nefertiti played a pivotal role in promoting the worship of Aten and disseminating the ideology of the Amarna revolution throughout Egypt. During her tenure as queen, Nefertiti wielded unprecedented influence and authority, serving as a powerful political and religious figure alongside her husband. Her iconic depiction in ancient Egyptian art, characterized by her elegant profile, elongated neck, and distinctive crown, attests to her status as a paragon of beauty and grace, revered by both her contemporaries and future generations. Yet, despite her prominence and influence, Nefertiti's fate remains shrouded in mystery, with conflicting theories and conjectures about her ultimate destiny. The most widely accepted theory posits that Nefertiti died during the reign of her husband and was subsequently buried in a royal tomb in the Valley of the Kings. However, no conclusive evidence of her burial has ever been found, leaving her final resting place a tantalizing mystery for archaeologists and historians. Another theory suggests that Nefertiti may have outlived her husband and ruled Egypt as a pharaoh in her own right under the name Neferneferuaten. This theory is supported by evidence of a female ruler named Neferneferuaten who succeeded Akhenaten and continued his religious reforms, albeit with a more moderate approach. However, the identity of Neferneferuaten remains uncertain, and it is unclear whether she was indeed Nefertiti or another member of the royal family. Intriguingly, recent archaeological discoveries have reignited speculation about Nefertiti's fate, with tantalizing clues emerging from the sands of Egypt that suggest she may have been buried in a hidden chamber within the tomb of Pharaoh Tutankhamun. In 2015, a team of archaeologists led by British Egyptologist Nicholas Reeves proposed the existence of a secret chamber behind the walls of Tutankhamun's tomb, which they believed could contain the long-lost burial of Queen Nefertiti. Although subsequent investigations failed to conclusively confirm the presence of a hidden chamber within Tutankhamun's tomb, the tantalizing possibility of uncovering Nefertiti's final resting place has captured the imagination of scholars and enthusiasts alike. If Nefertiti's tomb were to be discovered, it would not only shed light on her mysterious disappearance, but also provide invaluable insights into the religious and political landscape of ancient Egypt during the Amarna period. Yet, even as the search for Nefertiti's tomb continues, her legacy endures as a symbol of female power and influence in ancient Egypt. Whether as a beautiful queen, a formidable ruler, or a strange figure lost to the sands of time, Nefertiti remains an icon of antiquity whose mystique continues to fascinate and inspire generations of admirers. As of right now, the mysterious disappearance of Queen Nefertiti remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of ancient Egypt, shrouded in speculation, intrigue, and conjecture. From her influential role in the Amarna period to her mysterious fate after the death of her husband, Nefertiti's legacy endures as a testament to the enduring allure of the ancient world and the mysteries that lie buried beneath its sands. As archaeologists continue to uncover new evidence and insights into the life and times of Queen Nefertiti, her story will continue to captivate and inspire generations to come. The mystery of Khufu's ship. After an extensive period of research and excavation, the dedicated team of scholars has successfully concluded the exhumation process for all the ancient relics belonging to the second Khufu ship, which were discovered in close proximity to the awe-inspiring Pyramid of Khufu in the majestic Giza region. Moving forward, the focus shall now shift towards the intricate processes of restoration and meticulous reassembly, ensuring the utmost care is taken to preserve the integrity and historical significance of this remarkable artifact. Once completed, the fully restored vessel will be proudly showcased at the esteemed Grand Egyptian Museum, awaiting the arrival of curious visitors. Egypt Today reports that this monumental task is the work of an Egyptian-Japanese archaeological mission, which was led by Sakuji Yoshimura, president of Japan's Higashi Nippon International University and honorary professor at Waseda University. On the Egyptian side of the project, there is Issa Zidane, the Director General of the Executive Affairs for Restoration at the Grand Egyptian Museum and the supervisor of the restoration process of the second Khufu ship. According to Zidane, the leading expert in archaeology, the team involved in the excavation process has successfully recovered a staggering collection of approximately 1,700 wooden fragments from a total of 13 distinct layers within the pit that housed the esteemed second Khufu ship. Gradually, the dedicated researchers have diligently worked on meticulously documenting and recording each of these remarkable pieces, alongside commencing their initial restoration procedures. Thus far, an impressive number of 1,343 fragments have been meticulously transferred to the renowned Grand Egyptian Museum, heralding the onset of the second phase of the comprehensive restoration process. As reported by Daily News Egypt, the Japan International Cooperation Agency has generously allocated a remarkable $3 million grant to Egypt. The purpose of this grant is to support the experts involved in the meticulous final restoration work and reassembly of the historic second Khufu ship. After the team has finished their thorough analysis to assemble the ship and all the necessary final restoration work has been completed, the second Khufu ship will be showcased alongside the first Khufu solar ship. This exhibition will take place in a brand new structure, currently under construction, specifically designed to house these historical artifacts at the Grand Egyptian Museum. The aim of this elaborate project is to provide a comprehensive and detailed display, offering visitors a deeper understanding and appreciation of these ancient vessels. Over the years, experts in the field have dedicated considerable time and effort to meticulously examine and study the ship, resulting in valuable insights and discoveries. A significant example illustrating this is the unearthing of metal hooks during the excavations of Khufu's second solar boat close to the iconic Great Pyramid of Giza in 2016. This discovery serves as concrete proof that the ancient Egyptians possessed a far more sophisticated level of technological prowess in boat construction than was previously assumed. According to a report, recent excavations near the Great Pyramid of Giza have uncovered a significant piece of wood that has provided fascinating insights into ancient Egyptian shipbuilding practices. This remarkable artifact has brought to light the earliest known evidence of metal usage in boat construction by the people dwelling along the Nile River. The archaeological findings have brought attention to circular and U-shaped metal hooks that were discovered within a boat fragment, which was originally unearthed back in 1954 by Kamal el-Malak, together with the well-known solar ship of Kufu. The presence of these metal hooks in the boat suggests a level of technological innovation and craftsmanship that was advanced for its time, shedding further light on the ancient Egyptians' skill and expertise in maritime pursuits. This discovery has significantly enriched our understanding of the history and development of shipbuilding in ancient Egypt. Both boats have remained undisturbed since the time they were interred in Giza. These remarkable vessels, commonly referred to as solar ships, were purposefully buried in excavated pits located in close proximity to royal burial sites. Scholars contend that these sacred vessels were utilized in elaborate funeral rituals, possibly as a component of the pharaoh's grand procession. Furthermore, they have been intricately linked to the ancient Egyptian belief in the transcendence to the afterlife. The preservation and unearthing of these ancient solar ships offer invaluable insights into the rich cultural and spiritual practices of ancient Egypt, shedding light on their profound reverence for the journey beyond mortality. The wooden artifact in question is characterized by its impressive dimensions, measuring 8 meters in length, approximately 25 feet, and boasting a width of 40 centimeters, around 16 inches. Additionally, its substantial thickness is measured at 4 centimeters. This remarkable piece holds significant historical value as it represents a groundbreaking discovery in the realm of ancient Egyptian naval artifacts. Notably, Mohammed Mustafa Abdel-Megid, an esteemed official from the Ministry of Antiquities, highlights its unique nature as the first known example of an ancient Egyptian boat fragment that incorporates metal components. The solar vessel attributed to Kufu is not only one of the oldest, but also the largest boats from ancient times. With a remarkable length of 43 meters, or 140 feet, and a width of 5.9 meters, or 19 feet, it stands as a magnificent example of ancient shipbuilding expertise. This extraordinary vessel serves as a captivating testament to the craftsmanship of the past and the ingenuity of the builders who created it. The unearthing of ancient Egyptian boats is a relatively uncommon occurrence, although a handful of notable instances of these ceremonial vessels have been documented. The revelation and analysis of these artifacts have provided valuable insights into the construction techniques employed, revealing striking similarities to the shipbuilding methods employed for navigating the Nile. This in-depth exploration of these ancient boats has significantly enriched our understanding of their construction methodologies and shed light on the intricate processes involved in their creation. The Valley of the Golden Mummies. In the year 1996, a remarkable and astounding find took place in Egypt, leaving archaeologists in awe. During the excavation, a vast necropolis spanning an impressive 2 square miles was unearthed, revealing a collection of significant tombs hiding within its grounds. Delving further into the site, a staggering revelation awaited the explorers. 4 of the tombs, upon their discovery, contained a total of 105 mummies, meticulously preserved throughout the ages. What made this discovery even more extraordinary was the presence of exquisite golden masks adorning many of these well-preserved mummies, earning the name Valley of the Golden Mummies for this sacred cemetery. However, this initial finding was merely scratching the surface, as experts believe that the necropolis potentially harbors a staggering number of up to 10,000 mummified individuals in its hallowed grounds. The mummies, which were found at Bahariya Oasis, situated approximately 380 kilometers west of the pyramids, were unearthed by the renowned archaeologist Dr. Zahi Hawass and his team. Interestingly, the discovery of these mummies occurred in a rather fortuitous manner. It all began when a guard named Abdul Megud was engaged in a pursuit of a donkey, which unexpectedly plunged its leg into an unexpected hole in the ground. Curiosity piqued, Megud decided to take a closer look through the opening and was astounded to witness a mesmerizing sight, the shimmering glimmer of gold in the distance. Realizing the significance of this profound find, Mehmood knew that further investigation was necessary. However, the local antiquities inspectorate at the Bahariya Oasis lacked the means to undertake such an intensive excavation. Driven by a desire to unearth the full extent of this captivating discovery, Ashri Shaker, the director of the SCA office at Bahariya Oasis, reached out to Dr. Hawass. The esteemed archaeologist, although currently occupied with his excavations at Giza, recognized the importance of this endeavor and proceeded to entrust the preliminary survey of the area to the Antiquities Inspectorate. This initial assessment yielded remarkable results, leading to the unearthing of 4 tombs. Determined to delve deeper into this historically significant finding, Dr. Hawass made the necessary arrangements to join the expedition, allowing for a comprehensive and meticulous excavation to take place. This expansion of the excavation not only enabled a more profound understanding of the mummies, but also facilitated a deeper exploration into the cultural and historical aspects associated with them. Dr. Hawass and his team made a remarkable discovery when they unearthed 4 tombs from the year 332 BC. Inside these tombs, a total of 105 mummies were found, each belonging to one of 4 distinct categories. The gilded mummies discovered in the area were believed to be the most affluent individuals, likely comprising merchants and their families. This assumption is supported by the presence of gilded masks and chest plates adorning their mummified remains, luxury items that would have been beyond the means of the majority. Another type of mummy discovered had a distinctive appearance, being wrapped in linen and adorned with painted cartonnage on the head and upper body. The intricately painted eyes on these mummies were so realistic that they caused some excavators to feel unsettled. A third variety of mummy was found enclosed in an anthropoid coffin, a pottery coffin featuring a decorative human face. Lastly, there were linen-wrapped mummies, noticeably lacking the same level of craftsmanship as the others. These mummies were likely individuals from the lower social strata, reflecting their inadequate resources and status within society. The presence of these various mummy types offers valuable insights into the socio-economic diversity and cultural practices of the region. During the excavation process, an interesting discovery was made: the presence of family burials. In certain cases, entire families were found laid to rest together, a poignant testament to the close bonds that existed even after their passing. These family burials included what appeared to be mothers, fathers, and children, seemingly reunited in eternal slumber. An intriguing find was the burial of a female mummy, positioned with her head turned affectionately towards a male mummy, presumably her loving husband, symbolizing their enduring connection. The attention to detail in these tombs was remarkable. Masks and gilding were present, showcasing the elaborate craftsmanship of the time. The masks contained intricate religious drawings and depictions, further highlighting the importance of spirituality in ancient Egyptian culture. The faces portrayed were meticulously carved, capturing the individuality and uniqueness of each mummy. Apart from the mummies themselves, the excavation team, led by Dr. Hawass, unearthed a plethora of fascinating artifacts. These artifacts provided a glimpse into the daily lives and adornments of the deceased. Pottery, bracelets, earrings, and coins were among the discoveries, each telling its own story. The diverse materials used in the jewelry, such as silver, copper, bronze, faience, and ivory, reflected the wealth and variety of resources available during that era. Of particular interest were the clay statuettes depicting women as mothers, symbolizing fertility and the nurturing role they played in society. These statuettes served as tangible representations of the desire for continued prosperity and the perpetuation of family lineage. Additionally, the tombs housed statues of mourners, meticulously placed to forever mourn the passing of the deceased. These statues were a poignant reminder of the enduring grief and the communal respect for the deceased among the ancient Egyptians.